Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to study about Samson Agonist, written by John Milton. Samson Agonist is a tragic closet drama by John Milton. It appeared with the publication of Milton's Paradise Regained in the year of 1671. It is generally thought that Samson Agonist was begun around the same time as Paradise Regained, but was completed after the larger work, possibly very close to the date of publishing, but there is no certainty. Samson Agonist draws on the story of Samson from the Old Testament, Judges 13 to 16. In fact, it is the dramatization of the story starting at Judges 16.23. The drama starts in medias res. Samson has been captured by the Philistines, had his hair, the container of his strength, cut off and his eyes cut out. John Milton was born in London, the son of a well-to-do law scrivener. He studied at the Christ College, Cambridge, where he gained a high reputation as a classical scholar. Paradise Lost was published in 1667. This first edition was consisting of 10 books. In 1674, the year of his death, Milton published Paradise Lost in a revised version in 12 books. In 1671, he had published together Paradise Regained and Samson Agonist. Milton's verse is, in some respect, outside the main tradition of English poetry. He was one of the greatest Latin scholars and Latin poets of Europe. Milton's remarkably individual style has a majesty superbly appropriate to the nobility and power of his thought and imagination. John Milton, born in 1688 and died in 1674. John Milton was the poet of Samson Agonist, was an English poet and man of letters, commonly considered one of the prominent writers in the English language. One of the most knowledgeable men of his time, he was fluent in English, Latin, Greek, and Italian, writing his work in all of these languages. Among his famous works included Paradise Lost, Samson Agonist, Archipelagia, and Lycidas. He is described as the greatest English author by biographer William Hadley. Poets such as William Blake, William Wordsworth, and Thomas Hardy were much influenced by John Milton. Let's move to the summary of Samson Agonist. Samson Agonist is a closet drama published in 1671 by English poet and political activist John Milton. It appeared alongside Milton's Paradise Regained, a poem that follows his most famous work, the epic Paradise Lost. Milton declared Samson Agonist a tragedy written in the style of ancient Greek drama. The genre of closet drama denotes plays not written for the stage, and indeed in the preface of the text, Milton himself notes that he never intended to see the play performed. The play is based on the story of Samson from the biblical book of Judges, a son of Israel who was endowed with unparalleled strength. As a Nazarite, Samson's power derived from his untouched lock of hair. When he marries his second wife, the Philistine Delilah, she betrays him and orders a servant to cut his hair while he sleeps, rendering Samson powerless against his captors. The play takes place in a prison in Gaza, where Samson is enslaved by Palestinians who have also gouged out his eyes and blinded him. It focuses on the final day of Samson's life after he has been betrayed by his wife and lost his superhuman strength. As he sits in the prison, he is visited by the number of characters, including Delilah herself. In keeping with the style of Greek tragedy, the play also includes a chorus who are meant to serve as voices of Israel who support and pity Samson. Like many of Milton's works, the play is invested in dramatizing the Christian challenge of maintain unwavering belief in God. The work contains a scathing critique of those who would doubt God's power or justice. Within this broader Christian context, the play also offers critiques of marriage and politics, which many have seen as a commentary on the English civil wars and restoration of the monarchy in the second half of the 17th century. Let's cover the main characters. Samson is the central character of the play. He is based on the biblical Samson from the book of Judges in the Old Testament. God endowed Samson with unparalleled strength that allowed him to perform many famous feats. Samson was the Israelite and Nazarite, meaning he made a promise to God never to cut his hair, which became the source of his strength. Samson marries Delilah, a Philistine woman, who betrayed him by ordering a servant to cut his hair while he was sleeping. The play takes place after Samson has lost his strength and has been captured by the Philistines and put into the prison in Gaza. As Samson sits in prison, blind, he admits his own fault by trusting Delilah and contemplates taking his own life. Eventually, Samson gets revenge on Philistines by destroying their own amphitheater and killing them all, along with himself in the process. In many ways, Samson serves as a masterpiece for John Milton himself. Blind at the end of his career, Milton died only 3 years after Samson Agonistes was published. Manoah is Samson's father who came to visit him in prison. Manoah is a loving and loyal father, suggesting that God was too harsh in his punishment of Samson. Manoah pleads with the Philistines' lords to free Samson for ransom of money, accepting that he will live as a poor man for the rest of his life in order to save his son. At the end of the play, though Manoah is devastated by Samson's death, he encourages other Israelites to look toward Samson as a hero and martyr for the country and for God. Delilah is Samson's wife. She is a Philistine woman who betrayed Samson by ordering a servant to cut his hair while he was sleeping. Delilah appears in the prison where Samson is confined in order to ask for Samson's forgiveness, saying that she simply loved him too much to let him be free. Delilah also notes that she received pressure from the Philistine lords to betray Samson. Once Samson makes it clear he will not forgive her, Delilah says she will be celebrated in her country for her deeds even if she is scorned in his pride. Samson blamed himself for trusting Delilah and all the women, whom he sees as deceptive and manipulative, with the secret of his strength. Setting of the play. The play takes place in the prison of Gaza, where Samson is enslaved by Philistines who have also gouged out his eyes and blinded him. The play Samson Agonistes has several themes, some of which are major themes, including blindness, temptation, violence, the commitment to God, politics, and misogyny. The play is based on the story of Samson from the biblical book of Judges, a son of Israel who was endowed with unparalleled strength. When Samson marries his second wife, the Philistine Delilah, she betrays him to cut his hair while he sleeps. The play focuses on the final of Samson's life after he has been betrayed by his wife and lost his superhuman strength. Samson belongs to Israel and helps the Israeli people from any trouble with his supernatural power. Philistine often attacks Israel, but Samson protected them. Philistine people make plans to defeat Samson. In order to defeat him, they send Delilah, the most beautiful girl of Philistine, to entrap Samson. Delilah succeeded in her plan, and Samson agreed to marry Delilah. After marriage, Delilah comes to know that all the power of Samson is within his hair. So Delilah makes a plan and sends a servant to cut his hair while he was sleeping. When Samson loses all his power, then he has been captured by the Philistines and put into a prison in Gaza, and his eyes also cut out. Now in prison, Samson laments how he was once a great warrior and how he was been reduced to the blind prisoner. He was regretting to share the secret of his strength with Delilah, who betrayed him. Now in Gaza, chorus comes to meet Samson. The chorus is comprised of Samson's admirers and friends. He explains that before he met Delilah, he married a Philistine because God told him that an alliance with Philistines would help him in his mission to defeat the Israelites. Samson and chorus both agreed that if the Israelites had sent troops to support him, they would have been freed. Manoah, Samson's father, arrives and is stunned to see his son in his current state. Samson explains to his father that it is his own fault for telling Delilah the secret of his strength. Now Samson has no wish for a long life. He seeks only God's forgiveness for being prideful. Manoah does not want Samson to stay in prison and plans to bribe an official to release Samson. Delilah arrives and cries over Samson's state. She apologizes and offers to help, but Samson, no longer trusting her, just asks her to leave. She tells him that the Philistine will praise her through the generations and leaves. Samson's next visitor is Harapha. Harapha claims that Samson's strength is sourced from magic, but Samson insists that it is from the Israelites' God. Harapha leaves and an officer arrives to bring Samson to the festival to prove Dagon's greatness, but Samson refuses. But when the second officer arrives, Samson agrees to go. However, he soon feels a change within himself and agrees to go with the messenger. Manoah returns just in time to hear what Samson has done. He killed every Philistine and himself by destroying 2 large pillars and collapsing the entire structure of the theater where the celebration was held. Manoah and the chorus lament Samson's death but celebrate his heroism. As it is a saying, those who die for others live forever. In this way, Samson Agonistes saved a great sacrifice by giving up his own life but eliminating his rivals. Thus we can say that Samson Agonistes is one of the greatest drama written by John Milton. Thank you so much for watching.